Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check. I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy, and I'm, of course, joined, as always, by Max Tucker and Dr. Will's Outlook. We're going to be breaking down financial markets, everything that we see, here headed into the end of August, as well as the start of September. We are getting into the home stretch of the third quarter of markets for this fiscal year. And, truthfully, not too much has been decided over the last, 2 weeks that we didn't already know. I think we're all kind of waiting for a bit more guidance as far as what to expect in September. And of course, what to expect, in terms of framing Q4. Bitcoin pretty much just still residing in a range. I think you can have arguments for both directions until we break from that range. Until that happens, it's probably pretty much purely rhetorical and conjecture. But my personal bias is known. Like I do believe that we're probably going to go lower on Bitcoin, before eventually going higher. I'm not sure what the downside or that upside looks like, but in the immediate term, I have to treat what happened 2 weeks ago as a very significant, contextually speaking, high time frame value break. And that's how I'm going to have to view Bitcoin and crypto until equities kind of give me some reason to think otherwise. And in the meantime, since crypto's kind of been doing that, right, equities have had a little bit of turbulence, in their own right. They haven't necessarily sold off too heavily yet, I think is the key word, because you haven't had a serious bid on volatility emerge yet. It's still remained mostly suppressed, but it is, I will say one thing about volatility is it is forming some sort of base. It looks like it's getting the appearance of a bid. So I think, when you look at windows of weaknesses, we talk about those all the time. This is one for equities, and we have one until I think it's September 2nd or September 3rd that we reside within that window on equities. So, if you are going to see downside continuation, it probably does reside within that window. And if structures can be maintained, I think through that window, then you're probably talking about equities trading higher at some point in Q4, maybe even in September. At least that's just kind of what I'm thinking. But a lot of what we're seeing with equities is probably going to be influenced by what's happening in China. That goes without saying, specifically the Hang Seng Index, Evergrande. I mean, if you follow, some of these financial news media companies, like Because Bitcoin, for example, follow our Twitter, we had this news as well. If you guys have been following that, you know that Evergrande opened up, I think, 82% lower than where it had closed trading last week. They basically, not basically, they are bankrupt. That is a reality. And so it's kind of a question for how did the Chinese markets react? And President Xi yesterday, exercised some measures to instill a little bit of confidence within the market, both in the sense of, 50% of the tax that you would be taxed otherwise for buying and selling securities is now removed, as well as, basically forcing banks to buy bank stocks. But will these measures work? I think is my biggest question as we enter September. Is this, to me, feels a bit desperate. Maybe it saves the Chinese market because it's a very unique, it's a much more unique market than obviously American markets or European markets, in the sense that, it is a dictatorship, right? I mean, if not explicitly a dictatorship, it's almost explicitly a dictatorship. So you do have a bit more of a different dynamic as far as Chinese markets go. But if you do see, something like the HSI begin to slide throughout the course of this week, it's hard to imagine that American equities do not respond at all, especially, given the implications that would have on liquidity, which we were talking about last week, right? When you have this flight to the dollar, it puts pressure on everybody, right? It puts pressure on debt. It puts pressure on, the excess liquidity already in the market. Numerous things. I won't go too deep into that, but Chinese liquidity getting right out of the market would be very, very bad for American equities. That should go without saying, and it probably slides beyond just a lower high, or not a lower high, a higher low, should China really be going through or about to be going through some sort of recessionary stage with its markets, which I do think is concerning. But I want to open up talking about China, because I think it is the most important thing that we're seeing in the markets right now, guys. I mean, you could look at the Evergrande chart that Tucker has pulled up, as well as the HSI, but the Evergrande chart, I mean, we got down over 80%. This is the largest real estate company in all of China. There are going to be implications from this. I don't think it's just going to go away because the government ordered banks to start buying stocks. As essentially plunge protection is how I view it. But I want to get y'all's thoughts. We got a lot to talk about this week. We've got the Chinese markets. We've also got, we're joking around before the call started. We got the thing going on with BitBoy, some people seeing some repercussions within the crypto space. And then, of course, we'll talk about crypto, Bitcoin, altcoins, and what we're seeing on the markets this week. But guys, what do we think about China? What do we think about this big drop on Evergrande? And what do we think, how do we think the HSI is going to react throughout the week?
I could start if you want. Unless Max, it looks like you
want to say, Max, you want to take it or you want me to go?
No, I want to see what Will has to say first, and then I want to see what Tucker has to say.
All right.
And then I want to come in after all's been said, or it's perceived that all has been said. Dr. Will's outlook. I'd love to hear some thoughts from you, man.
You're on
mute. Can't hear you though, Will. It's such a shame.
My bad. Okay.
There we go.
I said, right. You're probably gonna think I'm gonna say something bullish, but I'm not. I've known about
Evergrande going under is super bullish, right? Will,
I've known about Evergrande since 2021. I was talking about it in 2021, the end of it, and I was, it's fine, guys. And it just where to go, gets swept underneath the carpet until it becomes a systemic issue, right? And this is what I told people would happen is it would become a systemic issue later. It's just not going to happen right now because they're going to try and float it. And I think this little breather in the market that we've had, we can call it that, right? I think that breather has allowed a lot of these companies that were destined for zero to float, right? And I mean, we discussed this, Max, Carvana, right? And many others that should be sitting at zero right now and in bankruptcy. But a lot of this breather in the market, and we'll call it that, whether you think it's a bull or bear, we're just going to call it a breather because it allowed companies that were going to zero to temporarily escape going to zero. And I think if the markets chop and the markets continue to play sideways, more and more and more, I think on the bear, I'm going to give you two instances, right? On the bear side, it creates more systemic risk because these companies that were already on their way to zero that have now been floated may go to zero, which will cause more selling pressure on the market, right? This is going to be due to the fact that we will have to reallocate funds. They may have to reallocate leverage positions, so on and so forth, and that would cause selling pressure on the market on the bear side. On the bull side, I would say at the same time, this could cause a flash crash, which some people would be like, that's not bullish. A flash crash is very bullish because I think in an instance of a flash crash, you can get an opportunity that you won't see ever, right? Ever again. And that's why they're called flash crashes. They tend to go down, hit liquidity zones of just massive amounts of liquidity and bounce off of them and then come back up, to recover where they were. And they're usually pretty deep. So, if we end up in that instance, then in that scenario, I would take that as very bullish. But at the same time, I'm very questionable about, China actually affecting all markets versus their own. I do know they're a big proponent of exports. So that's a big one, right? If exports get disrupted for China, the world gets disrupted. But if exports continue to flow, regardless of whether China's economy is going under or not, then I don't see the bear case for the entire world taking a hit from China's, we'll say, really bad money management, right? So I'll just speak on one more thing and I'll pass it over because I know there's lots of things that are probably going to be said. One thing that I brought up in 2021 was that if you looked at assets owned to loan amount of money that basically Evergrande took on, they were at multiple X's of their overall capital, right? And this was due to companies coming in and evaluating the company well above actual value on what they owned in assets. And so they were playing the Ponzi of credit in a sense, right? And that was basically, we have 100,000 houses under our thing, so on and so forth. So just at the full value of all these houses, even though 90% of that's debt. And debt, I don't think, was evaluated in a lot of cases when it came to giving them loans. And they just kept getting loans on loans on loans on loans that were well above the value of their company. If they were to liquidate, and this is the way you should value companies. Again, I'm not, one of those bank people that evaluate companies, but in my eyes, it should be a 1 to 3, right? So like you can give a little bit of over the value of the company, but it should be a 1 to 3. So like basically you come in and that's maximum, right? Really, it should be a 1 to 4. And that's basically evaluating maybe a company 25% over value of what it could liquidate today, or a company 1/3 over value of what it could liquidate today. Whereas when you looked at something like Evergrande, it was like 5, 10, 20x over what it could liquidate that day. And it was based off of inflation too, which is really bad, right? You always want to base off of a 2% rate, or an inflationary environment that's at 2%. When you're at 9% inflation, you don't come in and say, okay, guys, we're going to evaluate your company at 9% inflation and full value. Like that's absolutely insane to me. So it's always been a risk, but I think things will come to fruition. Now here's the other bull case too. I think the other bull case too is somebody, I don't know who, we can call it a white swan event, is going to come and swoop this company up, even at losses. Just because I think there's so much foreign money involved with this company that they had to float it and they have to distribute this company to somebody else. This losing company essentially, right? Now they could come back out of the hole, maybe, but it's going to take a substantial amount of money, and whoever's going to do that, it's going to take a substantial amount of drawdown for, I would say, some years before they end up back in the green if they end up picking this up.
What sort of probability do you assign to that?
Well, government, I think it's a really high probability. An individual, a private, I think, or another bank, or even, and keep in mind, a bank may pick that up, right? Because a bank may be so substantially deep in Evergrande that they have no choice but to pick that up, because the losses on their books would look really bad to their investors.
So then, Will, what do you think about it from a systemic standpoint? Because one of the things I have seen about the Chinese real estate market is that they are going through their 2007, their 2008, which,
Exactly.
you mentioned how they should be trading at 3 or 4, X leveraged essentially. But, a lot of these companies in real estate specifically, at least American companies, were like 20 or 25 X at one point. So what do you assign the probability that these Chinese companies have not only done the exact same thing, but would experience the same level of contagion throughout the system that American banks did in 2008?
I think they already are. I think they've been experiencing it. I just think they're not being open about it, right, to the world. I think they've been in us, and I think that's the whole purpose of their lockdowns and everything else. I think they are going through a systemic, environment that's only been a contagious environment for them, to the downside. I mean, you can see it across the board. Look at the hit Alibaba took and a lot of these other ones, right? They got completely annihilated, and I think that was very indicative of what was going on in the world, and what was going on in their environment, right? Whether they wanted to be open about it or not, because I think they got hit way harder than us as far as stock markets and so on and so forth. And this, again, it could be just due to them floating currency, manipulation of currency. So like all that stuff comes back to bite you later on. And I think that's what it's done, right? They've been manipulating currency for years. So since they've been doing that, all this has come full circle back to them in a sense, to kind of hit their whole overall economy. Now, I think this is good for them, because think of what we came out of 2008, 2009, right? We came out into a 10-year boom. Right. So I guess the real risk is here is even though there's probably substantially lower to go for China, do you not want to be invested in China if that's how we came out of it, right?
Their currency is in free fall right now, man. Look at this.
But look at the boom they had.
That's the weekly chart, man. If you lose that, I mean, my God. And they're easing and we're hiking. Like, that's going to go lower. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I was definitely in the camp that you could probably see the dollar start to fail this breakout until the situation with China has increasingly intensified. And I think I really feel like it might start to put a bit of a grip on, other markets as well. because of the issues that we always see when the dollar squeezes, right? I mean, it's directly influencing, the viability of holding debt and liquidity in the market.
I mean, it's destroying the yuan. It's destroying the yen. Like,
The yen looks horrible.
The yen, that's the yen. I mean, dude.
That looks horrible.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it, yen's up and won's down, right?
I mean, they're both down against the dollar. I mean, we could do.
So what I'm talking about is Japanese, right? Japanese yen is actually it's more of an up curve, whereas the Chinese is down, right? Like even though they're both destroyed, you can see the strength of Japanese to Chinese.
I mean, yeah, let's just do. No. Okay, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit stronger, but
yeah. I'm not saying it's immensely stronger, right? I'm just saying like you could start to see where Japanese yen is starting to show strength here, and where Chinese yuan is starting to get destroyed more. Right, and that's where you can see the inversion of the two economies in a sense.
They're both sitting at like what you could even call a double bottom, but if you lose it, you're done, man. I don't know what happens if you lose it.
No, I agree. What I'm saying is, to me, what I see here is if yuan continues to drop, yen will continue to drop, right? But yen will hold stronger than yuan. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's both dependent on the dollar just continuing to chad, which it should, if we're going to keep hiking rates, which I think we are.
Dude, the dollar is scaring the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't like to see 104. I definitely don't want to see 105. You see 105, like the whole market's going to start tanking. It's going to be
109, baby. Give me 109.
At that point, the market's way low.
That would be so bad for foreign currencies, man. Yeah, it would be, because we're not in the same. We're not here. You know what I mean? Like,
I know there's a case that Hermes is talking about.
If we go that high, it's going to be a lot worse than it was the last time we went that high, I think.
Oh, I'll let Max touch on this, and then I'll get to the Hermes thing, because I think that's an interesting subject too.
All right, Max.
What would you like me to touch on?
China.
Evergrande, China.
Your only bull case here temporarily is a federal band-aid. If the People's Republic of China steps in to basically bail out Evergrande and the creditors, I mean that's your only hope, and it's a band-aid at best. I mean, I don't see any possible way to spin it positively. I do not believe there is a very high likelihood, if even an inkling of a probability, that they're going to get absorbed by another real estate conglomerate. I don't think that there's anything from what I've seen that's even remotely salvageable. I think it's done. Like, I think it's done, but I don't really care that it's done, right? Like, it's fine. We've known for a while that it's been done. The real question is, domestically, are we exposed, and is there any contagion that comes from it? You know, I have no idea at this point. But yeah, I mean, Evergrande is done. I'm not bullish on China in the short term. I do understand what Will is saying. Like, you know, if this is their 2007 to 2009 moment, it's actually like a bullish reset, right? Like, usually these massive sort of deviations in price and sentiment often act as a springboard for, you know, rapid growth and appreciation and QE and ZERP and whatever here domestically. China may be, you know, experiencing some of that in the future. Time will tell, right? I'm not overly bullish in like Chinese markets because I don't view them as, you know, super safe. Truthfully, I think there's plenty of opportunities here within the States. So, you know, I mean, like, I think there would probably be a time to speculate and throw some money at, you know, Chinese indexes, but I don't think this is where you do it. You know, I think it's truthfully like one big trade. I think it's one giant trade where perhaps Asian indexes are leading US indexes. Time will tell. But I mean, I'm super bearish here on everything. Like I'm super bearish crypto. I'm super bearish American indexes. I'm super bearish Chinese indexes. I'm like I don't see it here. I don't see the bull play here. I think this is actually just getting started. Like I think that even just looking like on the lower time frames, for like the Nasdaq or ES here. Let me share my screen. Like I think this is I think this week is shaping up to be pretty brutal. I've seen this play before. This is the weekly open right here. Here, I'll make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Here's our weekly open, and we just pumped right off the weekly open into an inefficiency. And like what's going to end up happening is this is all going to be your wick to the upside, and then we're going to end up closing the week down here, and everybody that bought up here bought the wick, of the weekly candle. So yeah, I've just seen this play before. Like I think this is going to end horribly. Like I think we're going to see everything nuke. I think that this Monday pump is for fading. Never trust a Monday pump, especially not when it's paired with one of the largest, if not the largest, real estate company in Asia, basically going under, like officially. All my technical indicators are indicating to me that markets are on a cliff. I think that there's an event brewing. I think all these short vol sellers are going to get their backs blown out, like literally. I think the music's going to turn off. Like I'm just super bared up everything here. Like I just don't. I speak. I'm trying to speak to you guys and level to you guys. Not to spread FUD or anything like that, but because I've been patiently awaiting this trade, and it doesn't have to happen today on this show, and it doesn't have to happen tomorrow by the close, but more so to say, like, if you've had a good year and you've made some money, like, protect yourself, because what I'm seeing in my system is indicating to me that there's a lot of pain coming. At a minimum, there's a really harsh reset before higher prices. So maybe you're not in the recession, believer camp. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. I don't really care, but at least just from for my technical system, it's looking pretty bad out there, at least for the short term. So whatever happens with China happens. I'm just trading the levels, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of spooked. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm a little bit spooked by what I'm seeing out there, not only in equities but in crypto. And what we saw early this morning. What we saw early this morning for Bitcoin and ETH, like basically just crypto as a whole, was, I mean, it was pathetic, man. It was literally just like Binance is probably just CZ and his little group of bandits, basically just like driving perps open interest, and they could barely squeeze Bitcoin, and it's like, I mean, my God, we've seen this before. Again, just like I was talking about this weekly open pump on the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. Monday morning hits, New York session. I wake up at 6. I see, Bitcoin down. Then I see Binance and Bybit open interest pumping Bitcoin like $250, trapping a bunch of long interest. And it's like, of course, here we go again, like same shenanigans. So I don't know. You know what? You want to be bullish here? Go be bullish. I'm good. I'm good. I've got shorts in for much higher, and just trying to help, guys. I'm just trying to help, because what I'm seeing it's terrifying. So best of luck if you're bullish, I guess. I think you're going to be able to accumulate much lower, but if you're packing bags here, yeah, be prepared to hold them. So that's all I'm saying.
I would think
CZ
though, Max,
and his band of merry men.
Dude, you saw that. You guys saw that shit. Tommy, Tucker, you guys were watching that. We were texting about it. This is the same play, same junky play every single damn time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Max, look, we've discussed this many times, right? We talk about the same thing with Ponzi's. If you know it's a Ponzi, you know the direction of the Ponzi, play the Ponzi. If you know it's rigged, you know the direction of the rig, play the rig. Like I know it's frustrating. Look, reality is not a thing in finance.
I'm not frustrated. Right? I'm convicted. I'm not frustrated. I'm deep in profits, Will, on everything. I'm short from like 15% higher.
You're not sure.
I'm
BNB?
not frustrated. I'm
Speaking of
literally
reality,
not-
guys, we have a headline that just dropped. I feel like it.
What?
I should mention it. The SEC charges a company for offering NFTs as securities. Decides that they can be securities. I know it was
Wow.
unrelated, but I felt like it was a pretty big headline.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The SEC or the court?
The SEC. Well, I know what you mean, Will. I mean, I know how the
You know what I
process-
mean, right? You know what I mean. Yeah. It's always the same bullshit with the SEC. It's always the same bullshit.
Lose with altcoins, immediately pivot to NFTs. The goal of the SEC is to find enough anecdotal cases so that they can patch together some like complete hack job that some judge will
That's
accept
it, bro.
and outlaw
That's
all of
exactly
crypto
it.
as securities. Like that's the end game.
Yeah, people won't see it until it hits. But at the end of the day, just for the audience's sake, whenever you see the SEC says, the SEC doesn't freaking matter. All right, the SEC has to take it to court and prove it.
Will, you have to be poking me today, man. You're prompting me to try to come after what you're saying. There's no way that you're serious about what you just said. There's no way.
They cannot rule us. It says it right in their thing. They cannot rule anything a security. They have to take something to court. The judge has to make it a security. That's how it works. The judge rules in the favor of the SEC or rules out of the favor. This is why they had to take XRP to court.
Yeah,
Same
but
reasoning.
they don't not matter. You know,
No,
they still
it
have
matters if they take somebody to court.
influence. Yeah. Like it's not
Right?
some definitive thing when they bring charges, right?
Like,
It still has to
let's
go
look-
through a due process. Sure,
It has to go through due process. That's what I'm saying. So, like, pay
Sure,
attention to
sure.
the news, but wait for due process before you act on anything. That's what I'm saying.
Good.
Does that
Ponzi.
make sense?
This is good Ponzi right here, Tucker.
Look, that's,
Yeah, this is good
I'm-
Ponzi-nomics right here.
this
I'm
is
literally
good
giving the
Ponzi
alpha,
right
though.
here, guys.
Oh man.
This is good Ponzi.
Oh man, what are we at? 1.422.
Good Ponzi.
Wow.
We've been bullying OP over here.
Look at that entry. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, your boy's the wick.
Your boy is the wick.
but Max, would
Tucker,
you
you
agree with
almost
what I
gave
said?
up on her, man.
Dude,
I had to talk some sense into you. She
You
got you once. I
did.
said, dude, you can't quit
Dude,
on it. It looks
scroll to the
terrible.
left, man. Scroll to the left a little bit. No, not that far. Just up in
Okay.
that. Yeah, up in there.
This is tough.
Oh.
This was tough to watch.
This was I got chopped a little bit in there, but I kept trying. Max talked me back into not letting OP win, and I've now beat OP.
Let me tell you something. OP took my friend's money,
Mhm.
and I took that personally.
Yeah. We both took it back.
Winner mute. You're trading against winner mute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
But-
was a
but
nightmare up in there.
With what I said, is that false in any way?
What? That the SEC doesn't matter?
No. That the SEC is just news. When indictments start happening, then you start worrying.
Sure. But it doesn't mean they don't matter completely.
No. But if you paid attention to the SEC, every single announcement this year has been something that anti-crypto.
Yeah.
And all it's
if
done
you
is push
took-
price
If
up.
you took what they said as law, right, that would not
Correct.
be an accurate.
That's what I'm stating.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's the part. And law is all that matters at the end of the day. That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
but in terms of price action, what they say in terms of headlines does matter.
I mean, to a degree. I mean, but if you took and I have a full chart list of it. If you took all the charts of all the altcoins, I almost said S coins, all the altcoins that they put in their list, all of them hit a floor and have not violated it since.
What are you drawing there, Max?
All right.
Yeah, no, I agree, Will.
All I'm saying, man.
I just think it's hilarious how XRP retraced the entire pump, dude. Oh, that was tough.
XRP.
They were never going to launch the XRP wins the SEC case in a bull market.
No,
Hey,
no.
did you see my GIF I put on your thing? XRP.
Wait, what? What
The
did you do
GIF I sent you on Twitter on XRP.
on Twitter?
Yeah.
The last thing Will's
It was
outlook
a couple days ago.
Twitter was a bend.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
The surfboard.
What do we got here? 20, 24, 7, 17, 100K.
Just trying to help, guys. That's all.
Just trying to help.
Just trying to help.
Yeah, that's all you can do at this point.
You know what's going to be really, really funny is when 25K gets retested and everybody gets bullish and then it rejects off of 25K.
The
That's
wag
going to be
me.
pretty funny.
The
Yeah.
wag me on that complacency shoulder is gonna be insane.
It's going to be bad. It's going to look like this, man. It's going to be like one of these right here. It's going to be really bad, man. Like people are going to get so bullish on the underside retest of 25, rocket ship emoji, and then just, yep.
Hey Max,
That's it, man.
do you have a picture of Bart?
I could find one.
We're not going to inverse Bart, man. I'm just not buying it.
Look, I am so bullish Bitcoin over the next 5 years. I am so bearish Bitcoin over the next 9 months.
We have to set a macro higher low, man. We're not just gonna pump off 17K, start this little uptrend, and then just go to 100K. But you know what I mean?
I mean, I see I've always seen the argument for like the
inverse Bart
repeat,
yeah,
where you just kind of slowly grind higher. That was kind of what was driving my thinking a few weeks ago, but I think what's happening with liquidity conditions in the market is just not very conducive to something like that happening anymore.
Yeah, hang on.
I would agree. Yeah. It was a scenario I was entertaining as well, but
look,
I mean, Tommy, this was like I like this scenario that we had talked about this on the show before. It was something like something like this, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, right? But, whatever. The essence of the move, something like this, but from what I'm seeing out there, it seems extremely unlikely.
I don't see the demand for a replication of that move right now.
No, I don't.
We're not at the halving yet.
The 2015 dump after the halving would be insanely predatory. Insanely predatory.
But that could happen if we continue chopping sideways.
To have a 40% dump post halving, people would lose their minds, man.
I think we'll dump before the halving.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we're gonna dump before the halving.
I think it's much more 2019 than anything.
If it's like we were saying, if we're still going sideways a few weeks from now, then can recalibrate. But I think right now is definitely not the period I would call risk on. At best, I think you need to be a little bit patient if you're a bull, or if you have bags that you want to see perform well into the end of the year. I think you just have to be a little bit patient and holding out. Hope that support continues to hold.
Yeah,
equities look like a head and shoulders to me.
Yeah, I was seeing that earlier.
I'm just being overly cautious right now with the bear trade. I think it's a good possibility. It's just, man, I watched this whole thing fucking play out in the beginning of 2021. I'm not gonna have that. I'm not 2021, but
well, the beauty of
2023, and I'm not gonna have that happen again. No way.
The beauty of where you're at, Will, is that you could still flip short and make a ton of money here with equities. It's not too late for you, brother.
Man, trends still holding. Trend breaks, I can get on board, but like until trend breaks, I'm just not there yet.
I think if we dip below 4,200, you're not going to get a retest. Like you probably just rotate to the bottom of the range.
Strong trend, no retest.
If you get down low, that you break back into the range, essentially, I don't think you're getting.
Wait, what do we think about that? A case to be made for right shoulder on Bitcoin to put in an HNS. See, I don't see the head and shoulders on Bitcoin because it's basically a double top. Like it's not that move to 31.8 was not very much high. I mean, 31 and 31.8 are the two numbers on that. Like, I don't think you can. I don't think, even if we did put in a right shoulder, I don't think it would be a head and shoulders, honestly.
I think your best case on Bitcoin is this.
Yeah. Like, I would break it up into channels, right? Like, I would break it up into an uptrend, and then we just snapped that uptrend, and you're now in a downtrend. Like, parallel channel is what I would do. But
yeah, I mean, I have this prospected, like these lines right here. This is, I could see this wick getting taken out. I mean, we'd have to see probably like a Dixie dump intraday, equities squeezing, and it would basically result in like a wick. It would literally be like that. You know, it would look like this wick up here. That's basically something I'm considering happening. Is something like this. Like, see that little, like, we could see 27. I think it could happen. It's not my base case. I'm short from up here, but I mean, I could see that. And if we did get that, this is where I would add some more size. I would short right here. And again, my targets still remain unchanged, but I'd take another trade here, you know? So my first one is still in from up here. Stops at break even. I just try to ride both down, you know? But I could see something like this. I just don't really see, like, I don't think this is like an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Like, I think on any retest up in here, like above 27, it's just kind of, it's just hammer time. So
I think if you take the high again, that's a problem for bears.
This high right here, Tommy, 26.8.
No, I honestly think that last week's high should hold if you're bearish.
I don't know. I mean, I could see, we've seen it time and time again, like something like this, you know, it just gets sold off. It's all perps driven, gets sold off pretty quick. I could see it. It's not my base case.
I think about it from, sorry for interrupting. I was just going to say, I think about it from the perspective of people who are shorting volatility. You know, they will get out of those volatility shorts if we revert higher, but you can put the squeeze on them if you continue to push price lower, which is partially why I think price has been pinned here.
I would agree with you. Like, I don't think it's going up there, but I would say that if it did, I don't think the short is invalidated, truthfully. Like, that's maybe where we slightly have, you know, differing opinions. But yeah, I definitely don't, like, I'm not positioned thinking we're going up there. Like, I'm you know, my positioning, right? Like, I'm definitely not thinking we're going to squeeze up to 27. Otherwise, I wouldn't be as short as I am. So
I look at it more like this in terms of a shift, right? I see it more like we were in like a nice little uptrend, higher lows, higher highs, double top. You can't really draw the parallel trend down yet, but you know, I was
gonna say it's not there yet.
I know it's not there yet. I mean, you can connect those highs. You didn't really have.
Oh wait, Tucker, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but something actually just really important just dropped.
What?
We need to talk about this right now. We're not at 30 likes yet.
I knew it.
Okay. We're not at 30 likes yet, guys. We're at 22 likes. If you are enjoying the stream so far, please consider helping us. Smash that thumbs up button for us. It just takes one moment. We got 39 people watching, and we got to get to 30 likes. That's always our goal, is 30 likes while we're live on the air. So, guys, thanks so much for choosing to spend your Monday morning with us. I hope you guys are getting some entertainment and some analysis out of the discussions and the charting that we're doing. But please, you got to help that robot at YouTube headquarters like us. Starting to take a liking to us, and it's because you guys always come through with the likes for us. So before we get back to the analysis, if you could just take one moment, we need one more like to get to 30. We're at 29 right now. See if we can get to 30 real quick. I know you guys can do it. There's somebody out there watching that hasn't hit that thumbs up button yet, and they're probably like, the content's pretty good, but you know, I'm not sure I'm ready to like it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to wait for 30, man. We're at there we go. 30 likes. All right, Tucker, back to you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
See, even, you know, obviously this channel is premature, but you know, I'm thinking in terms of this high, right? It should be protected. Like even the midline of the potential channel should protect this high. Like we could come back to like 26.4, I think. Like we could maybe do something like this, but then I think you'd have to roll over. Wow, that's crazy the way it drew that. But yeah, I think I mean,
I
this
like
is
that
like
a
a
lot, Tucker.
shift, man. This is literally just a shift. Like we're going up and now we're going down. I mean, if this channel was true, I think, people would say, oh, you could expect that, but I think if you get up here, it's dangerous to be bearish, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. I mean, it would be like the midline of that FVG. That would be kind of nice confluence, but I don't know, man. I don't think we get that high. Let me delete this damn thing.
I would be disappointed if we let volatility shorters off the hook here, but I mean, it has technically been the regime. So,
I mean, if we literally just do this, boom.
I'm pretty sure we have some institutions that have come into crypto just to short volatility on Deribit.
Probably.
I had somebody who's in order flow tell me that last week. So I hope that we blow them out.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You don't get to be a TradFi institution, come in and short Bitcoin volatility at the bottom and then expect to make money. Like, I hope you lose everything.
I mean,
It's
what
kinda
if we
funny to me?
go ahead?
I was gonna say it's just funny to me that like these guys they come into crypto and they miss all of the opportunity just to short vol. It's like what it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like why they would forego the pumps, and like
Well, they came and bought the top 2 years ago. It's the same crowd. Now they're shorting the bottom of volatility.
Don't we have to have vol expand to the upside, or else it's completely over?
If vol expands to the downside, it's going to be nasty. But it also means if we get the downside expansion, you're probably going to see vol go sideways for like.
What is it? What is it? D-vol?
You can't really find a good metric on TradingView. You got to go on like just Google.
you could do B vol 70 is pretty good.
Yeah, I've made a good argument for
7D. Yeah, that one right there.
For buying the top previously, and not just advertising and stuff like that. I think a lot of these guys, when you look at advertising costs, it's actually cheaper if crypto's the new hot thing that everybody wants to pay attention to. That they go ahead and just spend some money, lose it in crypto to be able to get advertising for free, right? Like the FTX stuff, all the movie stars that were going on. There's a lot of attention grabbing hype in 2021, so it made sense to lose money in crypto to gain attention in the economy. So I think 2021 overall was just a different environment. I think if you're losing money now, you're just bad, right? But like then it made sense.
Yeah, man, you can really like this was COVID and this was the top in May. That 69K top didn't even spike volatility. Wow.
I don't even know that this is the best volatility chart for it, though, to be honest.
It's not. It's just the best one TradingView has, I think.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again, guys. Like, volatility on the most basic level is expansion and movement away from the mean or away from, like, stagnancy. So if you see volatility expansion in a big way to the downside, it does mean that we probably got wrecked pretty hard. But it also means, after that downside is completed, there's only so much lower for volatility to go. Or let me take it back. There's only so much higher for volatility to go after you've already had the big move down, because it's diminishing. I mean, unless, like Tucker was saying, unless you think it's literally over for Bitcoin, if you're still longing vol after a massive dip to like 15K, you're basically betting on, if you're still betting on volatility expansion at that point, you're betting on like literal basement prices. So I don't think it makes sense to do that should we have like a big event soon.
Yeah. An event, an incident.
Quote unquote. Wet floor sign.
Yeah. Red box, man. Don't fade it. Jeez. Look at all those wicks. I guess we could. No. I'd like for us to stay underneath, but
If it starts bleeding, or not bleeding higher, but if it starts just slowly grinding higher over the next few days, I don't think you want to be short.
if we float up,
yeah, because then it looks like the bottom to start the year.
I was gonna say if you
yeah, there you go, Tommy. Tommy's starting to see it.
Easy, Will, easy.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Tommy. I just, I'll let the Bears be Bears, but you gotta pay attention to what's actually going on.
There's your bull.
It's a very, very big week. It's a very, very big week. Equities in a window of weakness for, I think, another like 5 or 6 days. So, like,
this is exactly, Tommy.
If you exist, this is the spot to sell.
I mean, this is exactly the reason I brought up what happens if we're still sideways in 2 weeks. This is exactly why I brought that up.
If you do start curling, it could be unfortunate for the Bears.
Yeah.
If you do start curling.
I think if you're bearish, though, this pump that we've seen should probably resolve within about 24 hours.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's probably not looking great for you in the immediate term. But I'm also not in the camp that we're going to inverse BART this year. I don't think that's.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's the most bullish case is an inverse BART, right? So, like, your most bullish case is like 28K. I think you get rejected here, honestly. I don't think this thing just pumps to like 35K. I mean, that would be pretty predatory if they did take it to 28, retest, and then nuked it. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I would say that's the bull case, is to retest 28.7. But then you're probably not super bearish if you do get the retest. So
Big week.
Huh?
Big week. You need very silver.
Big week. Like, you need to be here on a smaller time frame. Leg, chop, leg. Yeah.
This is concerning to me here. Total crypto market cap. I mean, the implications of an inverse BART right here, I mean, it would imply
the one that's coming?
It would imply that this is like this is just a huge deviation, I don't know if I see that for total. I mean, I won't rule anything out, but it just, again, when you look at like the index of crypto, I think it just paints a much more clear picture of like where we've been at this entire year, right? Like Bitcoin clearly broke out of this range. Bitcoin was in this range, clearly broke out. Total, just 2 deviations of range high, and we've been smacked back down. And right now we're basically just sort of like grinding in here, continually just kind of churning liquidity after a break of kind of like a normie trend line. So I just don't know if I really see like an inverse BART playing out here. Like the implications, it just doesn't really align with like an inverse BART for Bitcoin just doesn't really make a lot of sense here, truthfully. Like, I think if we were looking at this, you'd maybe be expecting like, and then just like a grind higher, for total. Like, you'd probably be expecting something more like this. And a hush fell over the room.
I'm just looking at.
Oh, I just don't subscribe, bro.
Why? Wait. Okay. Yeah. What's that target? 848? 840?
Yeah, to 850. You know, I don't even know if that's a target, right? Like I just drew it out as like a significant level on the chart. Like if you just bring it over here, it's like there's a lot of significant interactions that we've had with it, you know.
I think if you were to say Bitcoin, for instance, was going to go to 22K, you could arguably line this chart up with that chart. Throwing it out there as an idea.
Yeah, we saw bears long into the lows yesterday, or maybe this morning actually, and then they've capitulated. It seems they got stopped on the spike. OI is coming back in though. I really hope they're not shorting it aggressively up here.
Oh, they are.
I just don't even know if we have enough open interest to inverse Bart. Personally,
They're long in this here, dude. They're definitely long in this.
Oh no, they're all short. Every one of them.
No, yeah. see how they aggressively shorted the lows though.
Yep. There you go.
let's take a look at BNB. What's
All right.
that bad boy doing?
BNB.
I mean, open interest climbing right here.
They're all max short.
I hope they're long, man.
They're all max short.
Let's see. Wow, Bybit funding is no longer as negative as it has been on Binance. So I guess they squeezed a little bit. Probably
you can see the shorts got wrecked on that spike though.
I remember a lot of people shorting in October of 2022. Worked out really well for them.
October of 2022. That was
What, you mean the top?
That was FTX dump, wasn't it?
Oh, October
2022.
Yeah.
That was probably 2 weeks before the FTX dump.
Oh.
He means the lows. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the low? Did we crash in September or November? It was November.
Yeah, October had to be pre-crash, right?
I remember pre-FTX dump, I think we were pretty firmly convicted that we were about to like absolutely nuke because we had trapped a ton of coin margin longs at the top.
Mm-hmm.
But the Monday and Tuesday after that were absolute chaos because they squeezed it once on Monday. And I think on Tuesday, they squeezed it again when FTX was supposedly insolvent and Binance bought them. So they squeezed it again. That was a tough short to hold. I have no shame admitting that I could not. I remember that though.
I held it for a while, but like once we got to like $14, $17, I was just like, I don't know if this actually goes to zero. I think I should probably cut here. You know, you get so greedy and then you realize you're greedy and you're like, oh yeah, I think I should that's it. Oh man. And then it basically went to zero.
OP is going to zero, man.
I love that I've passed on the optimism bullying to good hands.
You have, Tommy. You've
I remember trying to catch the breakdown on optimism's, like I think it was the $2 breakdown or the 150 I think it was the $2 breakdown, but the way that they painted it, it was almost impossible to catch. They chopped it up for I think 2 months before they nuked it.
I was also attempting to catch that breakdown, and it was very difficult.
Let's see what else we got. Let's look at we've already looked at equity indices, haven't we?
Dude, yeah, there's definitely not enough OI to pump this thing. If you zoom out on it, there's really it's looking pretty bottomed.
We want to see a range form a little bit longer before we would have enough open interest to squeeze like that. But
yeah,
it really all does come down to Binance because they're the only people moving this market at this point.
I think you need a move to start and people chase. Honestly.
It would be pretty funny if we got downside in August, but not because of Binance.
Yeah. What do we got here, Max? A little fractaling.
Yeah.
What is
a little
that? Oh,
massaging.
BNB.
What was SC's target for BNB on his last trade? Wasn't it like 180?
Oh,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. This low is, I mean, that makes sense.
183. Yeah.
I could see this.
Everything gets sold off except for BNB. People who shorted BNB are just like maximum cope.
Bro, BNB ain't going nowhere. I'm telling
Max copium.
you. If you know it's rigged, play the rig. Is this how it works? If you're not willing to, then you probably shouldn't be in the market.
Facts. Let's see. Ox. Man, I readjusted my Ox fractal, guys. I have it us bottoming around 3 cents.
Damn it, Tommy. Stop adjusting.
I'm gonna be buying more though.
Stop massaging.
No masseuses in here, guys. No masseuses.
Pretty much every, like, I will say this though, guys. Every fractal I've overlaid on my chart for the last 2 or 3 weeks has said that we're gonna have some sort of downside in the last week of August. Like almost every single one. It's been very weird how much confluence I've had just within that regard. It's one thing when you have 1 or 2 assets where, you know, it's like, okay, you know, maybe we could see downside because we're taking a similar trade from similar circumstances, yada yada yada. So it makes sense that we could see downside on this day. But it's rare when I have like 5 or 6 different assets that are all kind of telling me expect some downside into the end of August.
Wouldn't that be a little too easy?
What?
There, Tommy? For everything to be lining up perfectly?
I don't know, man. It's one of those things I don't really want to. It's like
you know what I'm saying, right?
I don't want to fade, and it you know, and if I don't want to fade it, I'm glad that I have a time-based invalidation because I think those are honestly more.
Yes,
I prefer my time-based invalidations over price invalidations any day.
Again, Tommy, this goes back to me this morning talking about what do you do if we're still sideways in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
you know, what's your decision there? Is it conviction or is
I'm
it
definitely
acceptance?
not going to be bearish if we're still going sideways in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because if we are, we're probably going to see people shorting. We're probably going to see spot buying. AKA, we're probably bullish. If
spot will outweigh your sells at that point, and your markdown's over.
Most likely, yeah. But I don't think we're just going to go sideways in a 200-point range for the next 14 days. That would be insane.
The only thing I'm saying is don't put it past the market, right? The market can remain irrational longer than you can remain liquid. That's just how these things work.
It is true. Ask Michael Burry.
Yep, he'll tell you. He's basically lost his whole life.
Whoa, he's worth like he's worth like 9 figures, bro.
Yeah.
He net worth shorted.
Michael Burry's an OG. People forget he was actually a killer during the tech bubble at first. That was how he, you know, was able to raise his fund initially. He was like an internet forum tech bubble stock trader that grew a reputation. Kind of a cool story, but
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was basically just like us, playing shit codes.
Yeah.
Michael Burry, the degen. That's kind of funny to think about, but it shouldn't be surprising given that he took a short as big as he did.
Yeah.
Sold Bitcoin. Interesting chart. What does Soul BNB look like?
That's an interesting question.
I call that the Sam CZ index.
Makes sense.
I don't think I've ever charted these two against each other.
I haven't either.
It predicted the FTX crash, low key.
Sam is in jail and still winning.
Yeah. Now Sam pleaded not guilty. That's why I pulled this chart back up for the first time in a long
Do you
time.
guys want to know what's hilarious about Sam? The
About-
fact that he can make a scam coin. The bald coin was his, and the only thing he's being charged right now is witness tampering. Like nobody's mentioning the fact that he just scammed more people.
Did you see he said that being kept in like confinement is a violation of his First Amendment right? He said something like that this morning. The audacity of this guy.
Oh,
Do you think do you think he's snitching on CZ, trying to bring him down right now?
Yes.
100%.
And he's definitely going to get some sort of plea deal, you know. But I mean, it's either him or it's former Alameda CEO Sam Trabucco.
Dude, is he on the run or what?
I think he's snitching.
Yeah.
He probably snitched on FTX.
Yeah, probably.
Always knew that dude was a weasel.
You guys want to see a good Ponzi? Just the best.
I think I know what you're going to pull up. Are you
Come
gonna pull it
on. I mean, dude. Every dip is just eaten alive.
Goodness.
It is a great Ponzi, man.
It's a great. I would
It's
say
a masterclass in Ponzi-nomics. Look at that chart.
Would you?
And there's a
say
6% tax on buying and selling. Crazy.
I keep having to add fibs. I don't even know if 5618 is a real fib or not. I keep adding like a full number to the next fib.
Just add it and you just keep adding 1 plus
Yeah.
0.618.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's real, but it's working.
It's working. They keep hitting. Yeah, man. I don't know.
That's so funny.
I will say I've noticed a lot of on-chain tickers really slowing down over the last week.
Tommy, did you see that somebody dumped 70,000 of PvP last night in one clip?
Yeah, I saw their boxing contract got hacked. So,
yeah, I was watching it last night. I was like, why did it just drop like 50%? And I just saw some like it was like 70,000. Just
yeah,
I figured it was
glad
something
didn't get
because
exploited. I was glad
nobody in their right mind would dump that much in one clip. That was just a really dumb move. So,
rugging often calls for inefficient execution.
yeah, that's just a panic to get out quick.
Yeah, because I mean, you either rug or the devs pull liquidity so that you cannot rug first.
Rug or be rugged.
That's what DMT did. Like they, that's the only time I've ever seen that happen though, where the devs pulled their own liquidity because they had gotten rugged, but the exploiter was too slow in execution to rug the contract.
Oh yeah, when they changed contracts like 3 months ago, yeah.
Because their airdrop contract got exploited.
Yeah. The devs were quicker than the hacker.
Yeah. Super based.
Very based.
DMT got smashed though overnight. I don't know if you saw that, Tucker.
Yeah, man. This is the ETH contract, so it looks pretty bad, but
yeah.
Yeah. We got what did we get up to? 29 back to 18. Just a casual 30% correction overnight.
I mean, look, it went from $4 to almost $60. Like a 50 to 80% correction should not be out of the question.
Yeah, where's the MEXC chart?
It's so funny charting this thing on MEXC because the liquidity is so bad.
Yeah, you can't. You got to do it in Heiken candles because it looks so terrible. Actually, that's fine on the daily, but yeah, this is your hold, man. These boxes, I've had these boxes for a while. Or else you're coming down to like 12, which is fine. But if you can hold here, that would be decently bullish, I think. If you can hold here and get above that high right here. But yeah, I mean, right now you're in a downtrend for sure.
I see Will's got to run, so we can we can go ahead and wrap it up if y'all are about ready to call it. Otherwise,
Yeah, cool with me.
Cool. Yeah, no, appreciate everybody on the panel for being here. As always, great stuff, guys. I think it's going to be a really big week for markets. I know we're saying if we're going sideways in 2 weeks, that it will be telling, and I agree. I think if we're going sideways a week from now, it'll be telling, to be totally honest. I do expect there to be some potentially major volatility this week. My fingers are crossed. Let's see what we get. But thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting us on this Monday morning. How many likes did we get to today, Max?
Looks like we're at 38. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Not bad.
See if we can get to 40 before we sign off. But we appreciate y'all's support as always. A lot of regulars in here now, which, you know, I love seeing y'all in here on a regular basis. But yeah, if you guys are enjoying the content and you wanted maybe a bit more of a more intimate, more exclusive look at how we're trading these markets, how we're viewing them, and, you know, including calls of how we're viewing them, literally the morning and closing bells of, you know, the New York Open, New York close. We do have links to some of our premium content in the description of this YouTube video, as well as the link tree of our Twitter bio. So make sure to check those out if you really enjoyed the content today. And yeah, thanks again, guys, for liking and subscribing. As always, your support is invaluable to us. But I think without further ado, we can go ahead and wrap it up. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. Thank you guys again so much, and have a great rest of your Monday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.